Hello, welcome to the Yarn and Yarns YouTube channel. My name is Angela and all of the places you can find me should be linked in the description box just below this video. How are you? I hope you're doing well this week. I am recording an extra video for you today. When I put up my little call for what would you like to see in these videos, I think I had one or two people asking for updates on some of my older projects. So this is a video just chatting about one of those projects, and sadly I have a tale of woe. So I have recently been thinking about all of the projects that I've got listed on Ravelry. If you followed here for a while, you know I am nowhere near a monogamous knitter. I cast on as and when I feel like it. I often do a big burst of cast-ons around Christmas and New Year, and I just work through projects as and when they take my fancy, and I'm not really worried about how long they're on the needles for, or a big pile of project bags doesn't stress me out at all. Knitting is my fun escape from life. You know what I mean, knitting is life. It's a way for me to relax, and I just do whatever I feel like. I don't put any stress on myself over my knitting at all if I can help it. So yeah, I've been thinking about the projects that I've got as kind of open on Ravelry. I never really put anything into hibernation, although I do have so many projects that some things do tend to hibernate for ages, but I always have them in my sort of like active whip list on Ravelry. So I've been looking through those and having a think about some of those projects, and one that I thought I needed to do something with has been living in this lovely bag with these stylized oyster catchers. This was some gorgeous fabric from Poppy Treefy, and she's based down in Cornwall. She's a designer, she makes lots of things, but I have in this bag is a project that I cast on quite some time ago from my hand spun yarn. So if you've followed me for a while, you might recognise this, or you may not. So I started and I got fairly far on a hilltop shawl, which is a gorgeous pattern by Curious Handmade, and this lovely pattern was gifted to me by my dear friend Sylvia. Hi Sylvia, if you are watching. And I spun up this fibre that I purchased from probably, I think it was my first trip to Wonderwall, and I'd only just started to think about spinning, and I spun this gorgeous Welsh fibre. It's from a Llanwenog sheep, which are a particular breed native to Wales, and I bought a bag of fluff from the producer, so she has a small flock, and this spun up just beautifully. It's so buttery soft, and I wanted to try and make a hilltop shawl from this. However, I have run out of yarn, so I think I might have started with 100 grams or so of fibre, and I spun this all on my drop spindle. And I attempted to purchase some more Llanwenog. Well, I didn't attempt to purchase, I did purchase some Llanwenog from the same producer when I went back to Wonderwall last year. Actually, I have it to do hands, bear with. So that's useful because it tells me that the producer is pure Welsh. And I picked up this gorgeous bat of Llanwenog. However, when I started spinning it up, it just is not the same texture as the fibre that I'd bought the first year, and it's also slightly different in colour. I don't have much of this shawl left to go. I think I've got a border, but the rows are quite long, and the shawl is also quite small. So I spun up a little bit of this as a sample, and I knew that I didn't want to pair it with the project that I'd already started, hence why this is still in bat form and has not been spun up. I also contemplated pairing a completely different colour for the border of this shawl. I've got a few greys and some natural browns fibres in my fibre stash, but all the ones I've pulled out, nothing is really singing to me, and so I think this project is sadly going to the frog pond. Now, I know there's probably some of you shouting at the screen saying, don't do it, Ange, don't do it. You can probably find something else. And I probably could. If I took this, Wonderwall's coming up in a couple of months, and if I took this to Wonderwall, I could certainly have a hunt around for some fibre that I think might go with it. But the fact that it is quite a small shawl, and I like a bigger shawl, it might be just the fineness of my yarn that's making it quite small. Also, the sort of edge is quite tight. I could have done with putting some extra yarn overs in there, I think. There's just a few things that are not sitting 100% with me. It's all leading down the same path, and I think I'm going to repurpose this yarn for something else. It is literally so soft. It was like spinning a cloud when I spun the first lot. I don't think it's necessarily a different preparation, this second lot. It's just a little bit coarser. So whether this was from a first shearing, I don't know if that makes a difference. I'm not really a fleece expert at all, in any way, shape or form. Maybe it's just a different sheep. But this one is so buttery soft, and this one is I mean, it's lovely, but it's definitely a little bit more spongy, a little bit more sort of coarse to the touch. So I think I'm going to frog this, and I think I'm going to make a cowl. Got plenty here for a cowl. I really want something with this beautiful fibre, and I really like the sort of eyelet lacy detail in the hilltop shawl with this yarn. So maybe I will just sort of take the idea in this pattern and turn it into a nice lovely cowl that I can wear soon, maybe. So yeah, that's the update with the hilltop. Should we just do it? Should we do it now? Rip the band-aid off. I've got a teeny tiny ball here. How shall I do it? I reckon I will probably want to just re-soak this yarn. So maybe I'll rip it out and then rewind it on my niddy noddy. So perhaps I'll just ball it up first. Is that making more work for myself? Should I just put it straight on the niddy noddy? No, I'm worried about it tangling. Let's do it. Off the needles it comes. This will actually give me a better indication when it's off the needles of how big this shawl is, because obviously when they're on the needles they're a little bit scrunched up. But given that I think I've got one more lace panel and then some sort of border to go, I'm just pretty sure that in this particular yarn this shawl wouldn't be big enough for me. Yeah. It's not even really wrapping round, so even with another repeat it's not going to be as big as shawls that I like to wear. It's coming out. Some of you have recently asked for, excuse the mess in the background, whether I would be willing to put up some sort of slow TV type videos of just me sat spinning or knitting or crochet, and that's definitely something I would be willing to do, because I'm often sitting knitting, spinning or crocheting. I can just put my camera on and record that for you. But I wonder if unraveling a project counts as slow TV. just got this teeny tiny wee little bit of shawl left now. I've time-lapsed pretty much the whole process of me unravelling this shawl. How much of it I'll actually upload on this video, I have no idea, because I don't know how long it's going to be. So yeah, there's slow TV and slow TV. We shall see. We shall see. So this yarn, as you can see, it's quite kinky. So I am definitely going to wind this back around the niddy noddy before I knit with it again. I don't mind knitting with stuff like this, because when you knit from a sock blank, then your yarn often looks like this, and I find that the sort of tension evens out a little bit as you knit up, and then soak and block your socks when you knit from a sock blank. I'm not entirely sure whether I would trust my hand spun, which is already a bit thick and thin, to actually do the same. So I think I shall wind this up and soak it before I put it back on the needles. So back to, it's a garter tab cast on. Do you know what? It's like ½ a metre of yarn. There we go. Done. Here we are. I have 3 balls of yarn reclaimed from that shawl. I have the knitting needles that I was using, which, if the packet is to be believed, are a 3.75 higher sharp. So I think I'm going to keep those in a project bag. I liked the fabric that I was getting from that yarn and these needles. The yarn's quite fine, but as I say, it's so buttery soft, and I think the fact that these needles are a little bit larger was sort of like keeping that sort of squishiness. I liked the garter stitch, I liked the eyelets. I've got in my knitting library, which is a very grand description for the sort of 30 or so books that I've got over the other side of the room. I've got a couple of stitch dictionaries, so when I come to get the time to cast this back on, then I think I might just have a play around with some textures and maybe some lace, and just come up with some sort of cowl that I will, whoops, love to wear. It's the great thing about knitting and crochet and just yarn in general, isn't it? It can be repurposed. It's not wasted if you look after it and treat it well. I guess you might see my investment in time in knitting that almost complete hilltop shawl as a bit of a waste, but I don't view it like that. I enjoyed knitting on that project, even though it didn't quite work out. I don't think there's any point in carrying on with projects that you're not happy with. I've got a few projects that I finished that I don't really wear, and I think the majority of those things were things that I wasn't that enamoured with as I was going along. So I think listen to your instincts is a good one. Are you enjoying it? If you're not enjoying the making of it, are you likely to enjoy the wearing of it? But there's no point carrying on with something that you're not 100% in love with. So this yarn lives to become another project on another day. I'll probably pop in a shot of the yarn once it's been re-skeined, re-washed, just to round off the end of this video. But I think that's it. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed revisiting the project formerly known as the hilltop shawl. Until I get to spend time with you again, I hope that you get to do some of the things that you enjoy. Until next time, great big woolly hugs to you all. Bye for now.